friends, Blake Shook here. I've been keeping bees for almost 20 years and I've gone from 2 hives in my backyard to over 30,000 beehives. And my goal in these videos is to take all those lessons I've learned over the years and boil them down into simple practical tips that apply at any scale of beekeeping. Today we're going to look at a hive that I've done a little bit too good of a job of feeding it. So I fed it a little too much. Now this is easy to do, especially in the summer months. After we harvest honey, it is important to feed because there's no natural forage. Ignore the beautiful crepe myrtle tree that's poking out as I talk about not being any forage. They can get a little bit off of crepe myrtles, but not a whole lot, not enough. So it's common as you go into the summer months that your bees are hungry, especially after you harvested the honey. And it's important to feed them, 1-to-1 sugar syrup, maybe a half a gallon a week or so, just to keep that brood cycle going. But what can often happen is maybe we fed a little too much, or maybe they were bringing in more food than we thought they were, and they get too full of honey. And this hive is a great example of that. We've already harvested our honey. So we've just got our 2 brood boxes. And when I lift up on this top box, oh man, it is completely full of honey. I mean, like there's probably 60 pounds of honey up in this top brood box alone. And my goal over the summer is really more like 30 pounds, which is only about half of a box full. And every single frame looks like this. I mean, every single frame in this top box is just completely full of honey or syrup. And then when I was looking at this hive earlier, the bottom box has 3 or 4 frames on the outside edges that are also like this. Now there is room in the middle. They did keep some space clear for the queen, but not enough. I really want to see room on 6 to 8 frames for the queen to lay. So if between my 2 brood boxes, she doesn't have at least 6 to 8 frames worth of brood or room to lay, that's when I'm getting a little concerned. So to tackle this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop feeding it, no more food. Now I should clarify and say I'm going to stop feeding it sugar water. During a dearth, it's still a great idea to feed some pollen patties if you're in a severe dearth. But I'm going to stop feeding them sugar water. And then because this hive is so full, I'm also going to add an extra honey super on top. Now this is a strong hive. Both boxes are full of bees and brood, bees, not brood. And so the extra space will help create more of a heat barrier during the hot summer days. And then whether it's foundation or comb, they can move some of that honey up out of the brood nest area and either start drawing out comb in this box, or if it's already comb, they can store some of that honey up out of their way. Now this box could be installed right on top and that helps create that heat barrier, or it could be installed between the 2 brood boxes. Either way works to give them some space to help clean out that brood nest a bit. The other thing you could do is you could take 4 or 5 frames out of this top box. So I would take the middle frame, so I would pull the middle probably 3 frames. I'm not going to pull all 3 frames, but I'll just pull one to show you. So I'd pull the middle 3 frames, and then I would set these frames probably back over along that tree line. So, 40, 50 feet away along the tree line. I would do it in the shade, and I would leave them there for a couple of days, and all these other hives are going to rob all the honey out of this frame. Now I do it in the shade because it'll melt if you put it in the sunlight. But in the shade, it'll get robbed out. And then once those middle 3 frames have been robbed out, I'll put them right back in the center of this brood box. And now I've created space for the queen to lay. So it's not the end of the world, but you do need to pick a method and create some space so that that queen can continue laying as she needs to.